I never imagined a single decision could ruin my peace forever. It was a cold Thursday evening when I moved into the new apartment, far from the city noise, tucked between abandoned buildings and thick woods. The rent was suspiciously low, but I didn't care. After months of chaos, all I wanted was silence. I was working on freelance editing gigs, so a place with no distractions sounded perfect. Too perfect, actually. The apartment smelled old, like damp wood and stale air, but it was clean. The furniture was basic. The walls were pale and bare, with a narrow hallway leading into a kitchen and a small bathroom at the end. I set up my workstation in the corner of the living room and installed a few of my old security cameras for peace of mind. I wasn't paranoid, just used to keeping an eye on my surroundings. The first 2 nights were uneventful, calm, almost boring. But I remember this strange feeling whenever I stood in the hallway, like something was watching from the shadows near the bathroom door. I laughed it off. I mean, it's just a hallway, right? But deep down, something felt off. On the third night, everything changed. It was 2:47 a.m. I remember the time exactly because I had just saved a project file on my laptop. I leaned back in my chair, tired, sipping from a mug of cold coffee, when the lights flickered. Once. Then again. Longer this time. The hum of my desktop fans slowed, like they were drowning underwater. Then suddenly, everything came back to normal. No power outage, just a strange little glitch. I glanced at the security feed from my hallway camera. I had left it recording the entire day, just testing out some new software plugins. But now, there was something on the screen that shouldn't have been there. A tall, dark shape. It was faint, almost like static, standing still just outside the bathroom. At first I thought it was a trick of the light, or maybe the camera lens catching a reflection. But the longer I looked, the clearer it became. The figure wasn't moving. It had no face, no outline, just a long, blurry human-shaped shadow, not quite touching the ground. I sat frozen, staring at the screen. My heart started beating faster, but I forced myself to rewind the footage. I watched frame by frame. At 1:03 a.m., nothing. 1:45 a.m., still nothing. Then suddenly, at 2:19 a.m., it was just there. No sound, no transition. It appeared in a single frame, like it had always been there, and the camera just forgot to show it earlier. I checked the live feed. The hallway was empty. But when I looked back at the footage, the figure was now closer, only a few feet away from the edge of the camera's view. My skin went cold. I stood up slowly and walked toward the hallway. Every step felt heavier. The silence was so loud I could hear my own pulse thumping in my ears. I reached the bathroom door, flipped the light on. Nothing. No one. No shadows, just the dim flickering bulb above the mirror. I walked back to the living room, trying to convince myself it was some glitch or a bug in the software. I mean, cameras mess up all the time, right? But even then, I knew something was wrong. That hallway didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like something else had claimed it. That night, I barely slept, and when I finally did, I had the most disturbing dream. I was walking through my apartment, but everything was upside down. The walls were dripping. The doors wouldn't open, and at the end of the hallway, that same shadowy figure was waiting for me. It didn't move. It didn't speak, but it knew I was there. I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. My alarm clock blinked 3:33 a.m., and the lights were off again. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it was all a bad dream, a glitch in the software, maybe the stress of moving in, or the exhaustion from back-to-back editing jobs. But no matter how hard I tried to shake it off, something lingered in the air. A presence. The apartment felt wrong, like it wasn't mine anymore. I didn't want to check the footage again, but I did. The hallway camera had recorded all night. I scrubbed through the timeline with shaky fingers, dread creeping up my spine. Everything looked normal at first. Then, Right at 3:08 a.m., the feed glitched. Just for a second, the frame skipped, then came back. What I saw made my stomach drop. It was me, standing in the hallway, but I don't remember getting up. I don't remember walking there. I had gone to bed by 1:30 and hadn't woken up until the alarm. Yet there I was, clear as day on the footage, staring straight into the camera with dead eyes, completely still, completely blank. And then I turned, slowly, deliberately, and pointed toward the kitchen. I swear to God, I was asleep. That wasn't me. Shaken, I ran to the kitchen to check. Nothing seemed disturbed, but the moment I stepped inside, a strong, rotten smell hit me, like burnt flesh mixed with soil. It was so thick, I started gagging. There was no sauce, no spoiled food, nothing in the trash. I opened all the windows. The smell refused to leave. That night, I set up every single camera I had. One in the hallway, one in the kitchen, one facing the front door, one in my room. I wanted answers. I wanted to see if I was losing my mind or if something was seriously wrong. And I got my answer. The footage from that night still haunts me. It was around 2:59 a.m. when the motion sensors triggered. I had the feed playing live on my laptop while I sat frozen on my bed, staring at the screen in the dark. The hallway camera flickered. Then the kitchen feed went black for 2 seconds. When it came back on, there it was. That thing, the shadow, standing right behind me in the live feed. Not on the bed, not in front of the screen, but behind me, in the reflection of the mirror on the closet door. I whipped around so fast I nearly knocked the laptop off the bed. Nothing, absolutely nothing there. But the screen showed something else. The figure tilted its head, slowly, inhumanly, as if mocking me. I slammed the laptop shut and turned every light on in the apartment. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the corner of the room, holding a flashlight and a kitchen knife like a fool. And then it got worse. Because that was the night the knocking started. It came at exactly 3:13 a.m. 3 slow, solid knocks on the wall behind my bed. Not on the door, not on the window, the wall. And every time I tried to ignore it, the knocks would move around the apartment, like something was circling me, waiting. By the time the sun came up, I had made up my mind. I was going to leave. I packed a bag, grabbed my laptop and hard drives, and called a friend in the city. I didn't care about the rest of the stuff. I just wanted out. But the moment I stepped out of the apartment and locked the door, my phone buzzed. One new notification from my camera app. Motion detected, living room camera. 3:53 a.m. after I had already left the room. I opened the clip, standing right there in the hallway outside. And what I saw turned my blood cold. It wasn't me in the footage, but it looked like me. Same clothes, same height, same face. Walking from the hallway into the kitchen, slowly, stiffly, like a puppet being dragged forward by invisible strings. Then it turned to face the camera and whispered something. I couldn't hear it clearly, so I enhanced the volume, replayed it, again and again, until the voice came through like sandpaper against glass. You brought me back. I didn't go back inside after hearing those words. You brought me back. I just stood there in the hallway, completely frozen, my mouth dry, my hands shaking. I could feel the phone slipping from my grip, but I couldn't move. I don't know how long I stood there. A minute? 10. Then I grabbed my bag, stuffed my phone in my pocket, and left. I didn't even lock the apartment behind me. I didn't care. I just wanted to be around people, around light, around life. My friend Jason lived about 2 hours away in the city. He offered his couch for a few days until I could figure out what to do next. I didn't tell him everything right away, just that the place gave me bad vibes, that something wasn't right. I didn't want to sound crazy, but the thing is, it followed me. The very first night at Jason's place, I woke up at 3:11 a.m. to the sound of static. His TV had turned on by itself. White noise blasted through the speakers. I turned it off. No big deal, I thought. Maybe a power surge. But then came the knocking. 3 knocks, on the window this time. Jason's apartment was on the 5th floor. I stood completely still, staring at the window. Curtains closed. Silence now. But that feeling came rushing back, like ice crawling through my spine. Like something was on the other side, watching. I didn't sleep after that. The next morning, Jason noticed how pale I looked. He made coffee, tried joking about ghosts, but I could barely hear him. My ears were ringing. My thoughts were racing. I knew it hadn't stayed in the apartment. It had attached itself to me. I opened my laptop again, desperate to make sense of what was happening. I rewatched the hallway footage, the kitchen, the bedroom, and I noticed something I hadn't seen before. Every time the shadow appeared, it came from outside the camera's view, always from the direction of the mirror. I scrubbed frame by frame, zoomed in, and that's when I saw it. In multiple frames, barely visible, in the mirror's reflection. My own face. But smiling. Wide. Wrong. Dead eyes. While the real me was nowhere near that room. The thing had been copying me. Wearing my face. Wearing my body. And now, it was loose. I decided to leave Jason's place and check into a motel. Just to isolate myself. Maybe give it nothing to feed on. I picked a small one out on the edge of town. Barely any signal. No distractions. But on the second night there, I woke up to a voice. Not outside. Right next to my bed. It was whispering. Breathing. Mimicking my own voice. Like it had learned it. Why are you running from yourself? I turned on the light. Nothing. But when I checked my phone, there was a new notification from my camera app. Motion detected. Motel room. 3:14 a.m. I didn't open it. I couldn't. Instead, I threw the phone across the room. But the moment I did, my reflection in the motel mirror, across from the bed, didn't move. I blinked. Looked again. I was sitting still, on the bed. But my reflection? It slowly raised one hand and pointed straight at me. I couldn't scream. Couldn't breathe. It just stood there, frozen on the glass, mocking me with my own face. That was the last night I stayed anywhere near people. Now I live off-grid. No cameras, no mirrors, no electricity. And still, every night I hear it. 3 knocks. And the voice. Always the voice. You brought me back. The worst part. I don't remember where I went before that apartment. I don't remember who I was before it found me. And every time I look in the water's reflection, I'm never blinking. But the reflection is. So if you're watching this footage and you see something behind me, don't look away. Because if you do, it might follow you next.